So in this episode, we're going to be working on installing the bulkheads, which basically separate the different sections of the boat from each other, and the rails, which are segments of wood that run along the edge of the boat and kind of help to give the boat its width and strength. Now here's the thing. The way that I did this when I did it originally is I drew the parts of the boat in CAD, cut them out, made a paper model, and then measured where the bulkhead would be using calipers. The way that ended up working out is that it's very approximate, and a little bit of difference in a 1/12 scale model turns into a huge difference in the actual boat. So what I've been doing is being kind of reactive. So I make the boat, or make as much of the boat as I can, and then by hand with a tape measure, measure the parts, and then go into the computer and then make those parts the right dimensions. Is I'd like to learn to be proactive and kind of get that all figured out ahead of time so that I'm not guessing, so that I have something that I know is going to work the way I want it to when I build the actual boat. When you lay the boat out flat, right, then the bulkhead is going to be some distance. Let's say this is the boat's butt, and this is all upside down for you guys. Then the bulkhead is going to be some distance from that butt. But the problem is that when you lay it out flat, that distance isn't the same. Now what I really need to do is I need to draw the curve of the outside of the boat that gives me the right dimension at the cockpit, which would be 24 inches. And that way I can measure the curve and measure what 5 feet. So I usually do 5 feet as my thing. So I've got 5 feet here, and I usually measure out 5 feet, and that's where the bulkhead goes. But I need this measurement, the length of this curve. Now I do know that I can do that in CAD. In CAD, I can measure this curve and find out where that's going to be in the boat. Looking at the real bulkheads compared with the templates, the templates are pretty much completely wrong. I'm going to go through this so that you guys can kind of see what I was trying to tell you in the shed. So I'm going to start out by drawing a 3-inch wide, it's actually 3.5-inch wide line, and that is going to be the butt. And now I'm just going to start out by drawing a 16-foot long line here. So I'll say 16 feet. And then I'm going to draw an arch that goes from the edge of this 3.5-inch line to the end of the 16-foot long line, and I'll just make that, I mean, it doesn't really matter, I'll just make that an arch. I'm going to constrain a line to the middle of this line, and I'm going to make that line 12 inches long. Now that line will represent the midpoint of the boat, and I want the midpoint of the boat, I want the midpoint of the boat to coincide with the widest part, which is going to be 12 inches wide. So now what I need to do is I need to figure out how to make this line, the long line, or the arch, 16 feet long, because that's the length of the material that I have, which means that the line that makes it up is going to be a little bit shorter. Now, I did a little bit of testing before, and I got somewhere on the order of 190.2 inches long for the length of the boat, giving me a length for this arch of about 192 inches. So now, in the sketch, I can measure 5 feet from the back of the boat and measure out to the edge, and then here in the front I can do the same thing. So go ahead and say 5 feet, and we'll measure there. And then I can trim this line, trim the arch, so that I can use my inspect tool and measure this edge here. And there I'm getting 60.736 inches. And I can measure here. And here I'm getting 60.914. Now I can go to the actual parts of the boat, measure out those lengths. So 60.914 and 60.736. And then I can measure how wide the board is at that point, and that will tell me how to make the bulkhead.
I'm reading that at 8 3/8, and that is 6 3/8, 8 3/8, and 6 3/8. Now the distance across is 19. And the distance across here is looking at the real bulkheads compared with the templates, the templates are pretty much completely wrong. So we have a height of 8.5, and that is to flat. And we have a width of 21.25. But we're taking half that, so we'll go there. Okay, and then we're just going to make sure that these are constrained at 90 degrees, which they are, so we're good. Okay, now the base of the boat is 8 3/8. And the height of the boat was 6 3/8. And then we want to connect these things. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that to there. Now that gives us the shape of what is. Okay. Now, I want to try, and I don't know how possible this is, but I want to try to pull the boat down just a little bit. So I'm going to change this to 8 1/4. Let's see what that does. So that flattens out the back of the boat just a little bit, brings it down a little bit, and it's only a little, you know, what if we push this? ¿Qué pasa si nosotros empuja esto? Right? So now the question is, can I get enough force in here to pull the boat into this shape? And I don't know that I can. Moving on to the front bulkhead. So we are going to come up seven and a quarter. And we are going to go out 16 and a quarter divided by 2. And then for the sides, we have 4 and 7/8 and 7 and 1/8. And then we are going to connect this to this. We are going to go up 3 inches. And that is half of the front bulkhead. So we will mirror this line, this line, and this line. And the mirror line is that center line there. And there we have the shape of the front bulkhead. So the last of the bulkhead type things is the butt. So I have two numbers that I know. I'm gonna go ahead and make this 8 inches tall. That's not the actual height we're gonna go with, but that's okay. No one needs to know. Then I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna make a line that is 6.5 inches long. And then I'm gonna make a line coming off of this, and I'll just pick a random angle, and that is going to be 3.5 divided by 2. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and parallel or perpendicular constrain that line to that line, and I'm going to connect this line to this line. And booyakasha, we have our thingy-majiggy. Okay, so now I need to make a line that is, you know what, we're gonna go up 3/8. And normally I go up 3/4 of an inch there. I just feel like I'm constantly fighting to get the back of the boat to be the right way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with 3/8 instead. So I'm going to set the mirror line, which I messed that up. No, mirror line, thank you. Oh my goodness, mirror line. Okay, cancel. Escape. I did that wrong. Let's try that again. So you guys can't see it, but there's a window that pops up where I select some lines that I want to mirror, and I select the line that I'm using as the mirror line, so as the mirror, and then it makes the shape. So now this is going to get extruded. It's not an inch. It's like 7/8. And it is the cedar nominal 1x4. And there we have a butt. I printed out the boat's butt, and I glued it on the piece of wood, and I cut the piece of wood roughly to length. So now I'm going to drill holes here and here for the mount for the rudder, and then I'll cut it out on the bandsaw. Saturday morning, and I am on my way to work. This video will post tomorrow, so I'm going to go ahead and push the rails off to the next video, and we'll do those when we're gluing the seams together. Thank you guys for spending this much time with me. I know this video got a little bit long, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. All right. Peace.